Hey YouTube, this is Zach with Achilles Financial, and man, what a week. So we have seen some brutal pullbacks, in particular in the tech sector, and because of that, I think that we have some excellent buy-in opportunities for some stocks that have some serious potential for long-term growth. I've consistently been telling my subscribers, and I have consistently been telling the people in my Discord that now is the time that you can get in on some of these big stocks that potentially you may not have been able to even a week ago. What I'm looking at today is 3 space SPACs, companies that are going to go public this calendar year via SPAC, that are closer to the original announcement range. The reason that I like this is because until that merger, there's relatively limited downside because the SPAC shares are going public at $10 a share. So for example, as you can see on here for Osprey Technology Acquisition Corp, trading at $11.10, the downside here is mitigated at $10 a share, and I'll show you the transaction overview here shortly. The key advantage here is that you can load up on 100 shares for under $1,200 for a few of these different type of stocks that we can look at that have a lot of potential. So in particular, if you are young, if you are under the age of 30 and saying, hey, I am not going to need this money, in particular in a retirement account, until I'm 59 and a half, then these are great opportunities to buy and hold for the long term. You have to remember this is a long-term gain. So these are the companies that I'm looking as part of my quote-unquote 2025 portfolio. I think they're at some very interesting buy points. Again, I've been buying into Osprey in particular since they were $15 a share. That does not necessarily mean that I am worried about the current pricing because it's an overall market pullback primarily driven by tech. And you can see that looking at something like a QQQ Trust, which is the entire tech industry. You can see how they've done over the past month. But again, you have to remember on the 3-month chart, we're really just back to where we were in January. If you look at it from a broader perspective, tech overall continues to be very strong. And I am still worried about the short-term pain, but I still think we have a lot of long-term growth. So what are we looking at today from a company perspective? Well, let's talk about, first and foremost, Osprey Technology Acquisition Corp. And to do this, I want to take a look over at their investor presentation, which consists of their transaction summary. So this is the transaction overview for Black Sky. This is a satellite company that is who I consider to be A, just an overall good company, but B, I think they're a heavy contender to be in the ARK Space ETF, which could be announced anytime this month, although that date hasn't been announced yet. That's the Cathie Wood's ARK ETF. That's going to be ARKX. Black Sky is currently trading under SFTW, and as you can see, the reason why I like this potential is you can see the share price right here. So this is the share price for the SPAC. This is the monetary raise of $10 a share. So already they have a ton of people who have already bought into that same SPAC price. Generally speaking, you do not get the opportunity to be buying in at $10 a share. So when you have a company like this, the downside is truly limited until the merger to that $10 a share price because, again, a lot of people or this money has already been raised and you generally don't see SPACs go under $10 a share pre-merger. So that's what I'm going to be watching going forward, especially for a company that I like a lot. I'm going to link in the description one of the videos where I covered this in more detail, but I think that this is a great buy point. So next on my list is we have Nav Site Holdings. This one, I personally prefer Black Sky over Nav Site, but I'm still going to cover it. This is a company that is similar space where they have software that they view, and I don't want to say spy, but they track a lot of maritime type of shipping. And so it is still a satellite company that is monetizing its capabilities to provide users with analytics. As you can see, they actually announced on Monday, which is what caused the stock to jump up here. They've now dropped down again. You can see that this is overall just weighing down on the SPAC sector, and you can see some of that right now, even from a total trading perspective. That being said, let's showcase some of the value add here, again, closing in on that $10 a share type of line. So you can see here on my screen, again, Spire Global. We've got the transaction overview. Again, as you can see, the share price $10. They are still valued incredibly high. You can see that 1.2 billion. But this is a company that, once again, the SPAC shares will represent right at 14%. The downside is relatively limited until you see that merger take place. The upside is still very, very strong. Again, you've got to think for more than just the current expectations of what do we anticipate to see over the next week. There is a lot going on, from a unemployment rate this Friday. The bonds are going up and down at a crazy amount. There's inflation fears. There's a lot going on. You have to think longer term than just the middle, unless you're looking to short stocks. And if you are, then I can show you another video that we did yesterday and have monetized pretty nicely. What I'm looking at, though, is what can I buy for the future? And right now we've got NSH, which again, Spire Global. I do think there's a lot of potential for this one, and I'll link my video covering them in the description as well. But again, there's a lot of capabilities with this group, and with the downside really being 25 cents for the immediate future, I think there's a lot of advantages to buying into something like that, particularly if you're looking for your next speculative investment. So last but not least, one of my favorites, we have Holicity Inc. So this is another company that, again, similar type of situation. They were up all the way up around $22 a share, and they have dropped back down to $13 a share. This one probably has the most hype because they have the most revenue active right now and a lot going for them. They are the rocket launchers for a number of satellites. So both of the two companies we just mentioned, while they have discussions surrounding potential launches, Astra would be the one ideally launching their type of satellite. So I think there's a lot of potential here. Great company to hold from a business perspective, although I don't necessarily like the transaction price as well. But similar to the other two, they've got that $10 fee. You can see right here, $13 upside or downside is a little bit more than what we were just looking at for Black Sky and Spire Global. But the upside, they've seen those prices, and while prior performance is not necessarily indicative of future performance, there is a lot to like about them. So let's take a quick look at their investor presentation transaction details. So here's Astra. They're definitely the largest of the companies that we've looked at today. You can also see that they have the smallest percentage they're allocating to SPAC investors. I think that's both good and bad in this situation. As a shareholder, that's not necessarily your favorite thing, but again, if this is a long-term hold, it's pretty good that the majority of the ownership is current Astra shareholders, and hopefully that what that means is that this company is going to be able to perform very well, because obviously the owners want to make their money back as well. So this is one that has a lot of upside potential. Again, they're looking at 2025 adjusted EBITDA, so earnings before taxes and income, of nearly $700 million. So they are looking to grow and grow fast. So this is, again, to close out, or rather I will showcase my full video in the description covering Astra, but this is another company, again, with a lot of potential upside. So I will drop all this in the description as well as the Discord if you'd like to continue talking about it. But these are three stocks that I think do show a lot of long-term capabilities. And for that reason, I'm giving them my buy rating, albeit this is, again, a long-term hold. Don't be looking for the short-term flip. If you want some of that, feel free to check out the Discord where we go a lot more in depth on my short-term flips. So if you found this content helpful, please leave a like and subscribe, and I will talk to you later. Thanks.